Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this Thursday morning. And if you didn't know, the Republicans have actually created a church-style committee to look into the abuses by the three-letter agencies in their efforts in order to silence you, to go around the Constitution of the United States, and to violate your Bill of Rights, to violate your rights. And this is a fantastic committee that has been put together. It's gonna be led by Jim Jordan, fantastic congressman out of Ohio, who is a bulldog when it comes to holding these regimes accountable. And I look forward to this. And Jordan did not hold back on people like Schiff and Merrick Garland. There is going to be held to pay, and it needs to be these Republicans who are going to be running these committees need to use the full force of the United States House of Representatives to hold these people accountable. And Jim Jordan just went off on these bad actors. So let's kind of dive into what we have here. Coming to it from the Gateway Pundit, and it's Jim Jordan, blasting Pelosi, Schiff, Nadler and Merrick Garland on Tuesday. Everyone listen to this, he says. Ploy. It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, moms and dads who are simply showing up at a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter. A place on a ploy when the FBI pays Twitter $3 million, not one, not two, $3 million to censor American citizens. It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know that the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what is bad speech. What's mis mean? You got to be kidding me. I tell you what, dozens of whistleblowers have come talk to Republican staff on the Judiciary Committee. Don't think this is a ploy. That's why they came to talk to us. They know how serious this is. The former Democrat chair of the Judiciary Committee's in the press today saying we're gonna fight this tooth and nail, this is political. But meanwhile, the former Democrat chair of the Intelligence Committee pressured Twitter to censor a journalist. You've got to be kidding me that this is the most important. This is about the First Amendment, something you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hoped we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment, the 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, right to petition the government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every single one's been attacked. In the last 2 years, there were government was telling people that couldn't go to church just a few years ago. Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government. The Democrats kept the Capitol closed. You couldn't, as a citizen, couldn't come to your Capitol that you pay for to address your member of Congress to redress your grievances, because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let you in. Freedom of the press. I just told you what the head of the Intel Committee tried to do to a journalist. The most important right we have, those your right to talk. Because if you can't talk, you can't practice your faith. You can't share your faith, you can petition your government. The right to speak is the most important, and that's what they're going after. And that's why we've had dozens of whistleblowers come talk to us. We want to focus on that, because we want it all to stop. We want the double standard to stop, this idea that if you're a pro-life activist, you're gonna get your door kicked in, you're gonna get arrested and handcuffed in front of your 7 kids and your spouse for simply praying in front of an abortion clinic and telling the guy who was harassing your son to knock it off. You're going to have the FBI raid your home. But the protests that went on at Supreme Court justices' homes in the aftermath of the leak of the dog's opinion, oh, no problem there. Americans are sick and tired of it. And what we don't want to go after anyone. We just wanted to stop. And we want to respect the First Amendment to the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is all about. And that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to. Okay, folks. Bravo, Jim Jordan. Absolutely. And, I hope absolutely that people like Jim Jordan will hold these 3-letter agencies accountable. It definitely needs it very badly. They have been infiltrated by the communists, they've been infiltrated by the globalists, and they want to silence Americans. They want to curtail your rights, and that we cannot allow that to happen. And I'm glad that people like Jim Jordan are standing up, and this committee is going to be created, and they're going to go after again. Like I said, I hope to use the whole weight of the U.S. House of Representatives, everything they're able to use, and go after these people who have targeted you and your families. And then some significant news. According to the IRS, 12 million Americans will be getting a refund check from 2020 for around $1,200. Also, The IRS announces 2 major changes to retirement and Social Security that are in the works. Putin makes a big change to his military approach towards Ukraine. And Biden says he has no idea how top-secret classified documents were commingled with old papers at his university office. The Film and Television Awards show the Golden Globes hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky via video call. During the call, Zelensky stated how the new generation gains most of their knowledge about previous world wars from movies that are produced about them. Zelensky stated the First World War claimed millions of lives. There will be no Third World War. This will not be a trilogy. He says the war in Ukraine is not over yet, but the tide is turning and it's already clear that we will win. We will make it together with the whole free world. And I hope that all of you will be with us on the victorious day of our victory. So Zelensky feels very confident that this is not going to result in World War III and that Ukraine will be able to beat back Putin and the Russian Federation army. However, Russia has just made some of its biggest advancements on Ukraine since the month of August. As we currently speak, Russia has almost entirely captured a small mining town. Ukraine is still holding very strong though in many areas, and it seems that they have a decent chance of winning the war, even though they are losing battle after battle. However, Putin is not sitting idle, with more weaponry coming in from the United States and NATO. Just yesterday, I told you how Russia announced that they will add 500,000 conscription soldiers to the Russian Federation army. Just today, President Putin announced a change of the guard. He will be installing General Valery Gerasimovich to take over the war in Ukraine. Apparently he's more skilled and a little bit more ferocious when it comes to battle. Now Putin says the new gen has more experience to take over Ukraine and keep the Russian military men and women serving safe. Now Zelensky mocked Putin for having to replace his previous gen. But Poland did not see this as funny and said that they will actually be sending more armored tanks to Ukraine to defend itself against these new attacks that will be coming. I'll continue to keep you updated on the situation. The Pentagon has removed its COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Basically, they're not going to force people to get a vaccine that they don't want. Now, previously, if you didn't want to get the COVID vaccine in the military, you were punished unfairly. For example, they might take away credit towards your military retirement, they might kick you out of the armed forces. And basically in a degrading way. You could lose rank, you could lose pay. They did everything they could to shame people into getting a medical procedure that they did not want. Now the result is a ton of controversy and a pile-up of lawsuits against the federal government and the US military and the Pentagon. With it no longer being mandatory, the Pentagon will still encourage people to get the miracle vaccines. However, it's not clear what will happen with the 6,000 men and women that lost their jobs. Will they be reinstated? Well, there'll be back pay. I don't see that Trump said he would do that. But Biden's been very quiet on the situation. Now speaking of the Pentagon, they plan on training Ukrainian troops on how to use the new powerful Patriot missile defense system that is provided by U.S. taxpayers from President Biden and Congress. Pat Ryder, the defense secretary, stated, "We will prepare approximately 90 to 100 Ukrainian soldiers on how to operate, maintain and sustain the defensive system over a training course expected to last several months." Basically, they're going to be trained right here in the United States. Now, one detail that Russia will not appreciate is that these men and women are going to be trained right here on American soil. This gives Putin one more reason to publicly say that this is a war between NATO and Russia. This is no longer a war between Ukraine and Russia. So they're not taking this news very lightly. Now President Joe Biden has finally responded to the report, which showed that he had classified documents commingled with other public documents at a university that he had an office in. He stated, "I was briefed about the discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. But I don't know what's in the documents. My lawyers have not suggested I ask what documents they were. I just find it very funny though, that Biden called Trump irresponsible for having documents. And it turns out, he also has documents." Now, according to CNN, here's what we know about the documents. They are top secret classified military intel about the country of Iran and a couple other countries. Going back between 2013 and 2016, Donald Trump has argued that he had authority to declassify documents as president, while Biden never had authority being a vice president. This has led Trump to argue that the U.S. government is holding a double standard between Biden and himself. Donald Trump, a CNN correspondent, called this a political gift for Trump that will likely keep him from getting in trouble, as they would now have to apply the same punishment to Joe Biden. So basically, hey, they were gearing up to do something, and now that Biden's in the same situation, now, we probably won't be able to do that. Congress has now raised the age for required minimum distributions on qualified retirement accounts such as SEP IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs, and IRAs, with the new age starting at age 73, for required minimum distributions. So up until that point, you don't have to take anything out and there won't be a tax burden. You can continue to delay the taxation, and also there won't be a penalty, but after age 73 and a half, you will need to start taking your RMD. Now there has also been talks in Congress about raising the minimum age. You can start receiving Social Security benefits with the latest increases to Social Security. The trust that holds the Social Security money is scheduled to run out of money even faster. Now, one way to slow this is to raise more tax money from higher income Americans. It seems Congress doesn't want to do that. Another way is to make Americans work longer and receive benefits at an older age. Some extreme members of Congress are saying no benefits for Americans until they're at least 70 years old. Now they have not decided on a final number. I'm just letting you know what's in the news today. The IRS announced that they will be sending 12 million Americans additional tax refund money from 2020 tax filings. The IRS backlog has made it hard to get these updates done and this money out the door. Yeah, like 3 years too late, right? Now, according to the IRS, the average person receiving one of these IRS checks will receive right around $1,200 from the IRS. So if you had 2020 tax filing issues, you might be getting a $1,200 IRS check in the mail very soon. So definitely keep an eye out for that letter. Many Republicans are now saying the newly elected New York Representative George Santos should resign. He's embarrassed himself and the Republican Party. They said that this amount of lying could mean that he is dealing with mental health issues that also need to be checked out. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said, as Speaker of the House, he doesn't have the authority to remove Santos from Congress, but he won't be getting placed on any committees. Now let's be honest, cryptocurrency has suffered some big blows lately. And Coinbase has announced that they will be laying off 20% of their employees just to make sure that they are not going down the FTX path. Now, after the big crypto exchange platform FTX collapsed, it was believed that they only have maybe $1 billion. But now, it was announced that they found about $5 billion have liquid assets. Hopefully they're real assets and not just, like the FPT coin, which really has no value at this point. But they're looking for $9 billion, but they've been able to find about $5 billion plus about $200 million in real estate and $500 million invested into Robinhood. So if you put money into FTX, hopefully no one in my community did, but if you did, there may be a chance of getting some of that money back, but only if the lawyers involved in the bank right upstate don't gobble up all the money. In the meantime, the stock markets were all green today with an average bump of 1% in a single day. Many individual stocks, however, were either up or down. There wasn't a lot of neutral in the market today. Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me